Have you ever caught yourself looking in the mirror, not quite recognizing the person staring back? That moment where you think, when did I start doubting myself like this? You know, it happens to all of us. Life moves fast, the years slip by, and somewhere along the way, that bold, self-assured person inside gets a little quieter. It might be because of a health scare, a retirement you didn't quite feel ready for, or the way society subtly whispers that after a certain age, we're meant to slow down, stay quiet, and stay out of the way. Well, I'm here to tell you, forget that noise. Confidence isn't reserved for the young. It doesn't have an expiration date stamped on it like a bottle of milk. In fact, regaining your confidence after 60 can be one of the most powerful, liberating experiences of your life. Because now you know things you didn't know at 30. You've loved, you've lost, you've built, you've survived things you never thought you would. And that kind of wisdom is a superpower most people haven't even unlocked yet. Today, we're going to talk about how to tap back into that, to peel off those old doubts, that creeping insecurity, and remind yourself of exactly who you are. And no, it doesn't require a dramatic life overhaul or running a marathon barefoot in the rain. It's about a few smart, realistic lifestyle shifts that start changing the way you feel about yourself from the inside out. Let's ease into this together. First, let's talk about something surprisingly simple: your posture. Yep, the way you stand, sit, and move through a room says more about your confidence than words ever could. Have you noticed how easy it is to start slouching after 60? Shoulders cave in, head droops forward a bit. It's part habit, part muscle loss, and part the weight of years sitting on your back. But here's the thing. When you physically carry yourself like you're unsure, your mind starts to believe it, and others pick up on it too. So, starting today, every time you catch yourself slouching, gently pull your shoulders back, lift your chin, and straighten your spine. No need to look like a toy soldier, just open up your posture. When you walk into a room, lead with your chest and head high. Not only will it instantly make you feel stronger and more capable, it actually improves your breathing and mood too. People unconsciously respond to posture. It tells them whether you're someone who should be heard or ignored. And believe me, you're someone worth hearing. Next, let's tackle that little voice inside your head. You know the one that pipes up with, "You can't do that," or "You're too old for this now." It sneaks in during quiet moments, planting seeds of doubt. And over time, those tiny poisonous whispers start shaping your decisions, keeping you from trying new things, meeting new people, or speaking up when you should. The truth is, our minds love patterns. If you've spent years quietly feeding yourself self-doubt, your brain's gotten really good at playing that record on repeat. But here's a trick. You can change the track. The next time that voice shows up, treat it like a mischievous grandchild tugging at your sleeve. Notice it, acknowledge it, and gently tell it, "Not today." Then replace it with one simple phrase: "I am still becoming." Because you are. Life didn't stop at 60 or 70 or 80. Every morning you wake up is another chance to learn, to grow, to surprise yourself. Start treating those negative thoughts like background static you're too busy to listen to, and little by little, you'll notice them losing power. And speaking of new chances, one of the fastest ways to rebuild confidence is by setting small, achievable goals. Not resolutions like, "I'll lose 30 pounds by next month," or "I'll become a yoga master by Christmas." I'm talking about micro goals, things you can check off and feel good about, like calling an old friend you haven't spoken to in years, or walking to the end of the street and back, trying a new recipe you've never made before, reading one chapter of a book you've been meaning to get to. Each little victory, no matter how tiny, adds a drop to your confidence bucket, and after a while, those drops add up. Suddenly you realize, hey, I'm doing things. I'm capable. I can still surprise myself. That's a beautiful, addictive feeling. The trick is consistency. Try to stack one tiny win on top of another every day, not to impress anyone else, just to remind yourself what you're made of. You might be surprised how quickly your confidence starts growing roots again. Now, if we're being honest, one of the biggest confidence killers after 60 is how disconnected we can start to feel from others. Maybe your circle of friends has shrunk. Maybe you've lost a partner or family lives far away, and days feel quieter than they used to. And it's easy to start believing that shrinking social life means shrinking worth. But here's something I want you to remember. Confidence isn't about how many people you have around you. It's about the quality of connection you feel. You don't need a crowd. You need a handful of people who lift you up, listen to you, and remind you you're still needed. If that sounds like something you're missing, it's not too late to rebuild it. Start small. Strike up a conversation with a neighbor you usually just nod at. Join an online community where people your age swap stories and advice. Attend a local class, a book club, a gardening group, even if you're the newest person in the room. Showing up is the victory. Each time you do, you prove to yourself that you're still part of the world, still connected, still valuable. And don't underestimate the power of mentoring. Whether it's offering advice to a grandchild, sharing wisdom with someone at your community center, or even mentoring online, you have decades of life experience people can benefit from. Passing it on isn't just kind, it reminds you of your own worth. And trust me, nothing boosts confidence like realizing you still have lessons to teach. So, take a breath, lift that chin, and remember, confidence isn't something you find under a couch cushion or waiting on a shelf. It's something you build, one small shift at a time. You know, something interesting happens once you start making these small shifts. The world doesn't necessarily change, but the way you see yourself in it does. It's like cleaning the smudges off a pair of old reading glasses. Everything gets a little brighter, a little clearer, and suddenly you realize you've still got plenty of chapters left to write. Now, another smart lifestyle shift that can truly rebuild your confidence after 60 has everything to do with what you're feeding your mind. Not just what you're watching on TV or reading in the papers, but the thoughts, the conversations, and the ideas you surround yourself with every day. The truth is, it's way too easy to fall into a rut of negativity without even noticing. The news reminds you of everything that's wrong in the world. Friends complain about their aching joints, and before you know it, you've absorbed all of it like a sponge. But here's a little secret. You get to choose your mental diet. And just like a good meal can leave you feeling energized and satisfied, good thoughts and uplifting conversations can do wonders for your spirit. Make it a habit to consume something inspiring every single day. It doesn't have to be grand. Maybe it's a funny video that makes you laugh so hard you forget what you were worried about. Or a story about someone your age who decided to learn the guitar at 68. Or a podcast about gardening tips that makes you itch to get your hands dirty. The point is to flood your brain with reminders that life after 60 is still filled with possibilities. When you consistently seek out those little sparks of joy and inspiration, you start to believe, deep down, that you belong in that world too. And once that belief takes root, confidence naturally follows. Which brings me to something a lot of folks shy away from talking about, your appearance. Now listen, I'm not about to tell you to dye your hair purple or start chasing after fashion trends like a teenager at the mall, but I will say this, the way you present yourself to the world affects how you feel inside. It's not about vanity, it's about dignity. It's about sending yourself a message that you still matter, that you're still worth a little effort. I've seen people's entire moods lift just by changing one thing. A fresh haircut, a new pair of walking shoes that don't squeak when you move, a bold scarf that makes you feel like you've got a little secret no one else knows. When you look in the mirror and like what you see, even a little, you walk differently, you speak differently, you expect more from life. So, do yourself the kindness of tending to your appearance. Not for anyone else, but because you deserve to feel good about the face and body that have carried you through 6 decades of life's twists and turns. And while we're on the subject of expectations, let's address the idea of trying new things. I know what you might be thinking. At my age, I'm too old to start anything new. But I'll be honest with you, nothing drains your confidence faster than living the same day over and over again, convinced that your best years are behind you. The quickest way to break that cycle? Learn something. Anything. It doesn't matter if it's useful or purely for fun. The act of learning fires up your brain in ways you can literally feel. Maybe it's trying out a new recipe, finally figuring out how to send those text messages with emojis your granddaughter's always sending you, or learning the names of the stars you see on your evening walks. The beauty of learning after 60 is that there's no pressure. You're not chasing promotions or school grades. You're learning because you're curious, because it makes you feel alive. And nothing boosts confidence quite like surprising yourself. One gentleman I spoke to not long ago decided at 73 to learn Spanish. Said he always wanted to visit Spain, never got around to it. And though he may never set foot there, every time he picks up a new phrase, it lights him up. Not because he needs it, but because he can. And that sense of I can still do this is worth more than 100 compliments from anyone else. Another smart shift that ties into this is physical movement. Now, before you groan and start listing your bad knee, your tricky hip, or that back that's been acting up since 1992, hear me out. I'm not talking about running marathons or doing backflips. I'm talking about finding ways to move that feel good for you. Confidence isn't just in your head, it's in your body too. When you move, when you stretch, when you challenge yourself a little physically, your brain releases chemicals that lift your mood, reduce stress, and yes, boost your confidence. It could be as simple as a 10-minute walk after breakfast, or gentle stretches before bed, dancing in your living room to a favorite old tune while no one's watching, or better yet, while everyone is. The key is consistency. Movement reminds you that your body is still capable of carrying you into new experiences. It's a way of saying to yourself, I'm still here and I'm not done yet. So, as you go about your day, pay attention to those moments where you feel stuck or small. Those are the perfect opportunities to stand a little taller. Choose a thought that lifts you up. Tidy yourself up, not because you have to, but because it makes you feel good. And learn something new. No matter how small, move your body not because anyone's telling you to, but because it's yours, and you deserve to feel strong inside it. Confidence after 60 isn't about pretending you're 25 again. It's about honoring where you've been, embracing where you are, and daring to believe that there's still plenty ahead worth getting excited about. And you know, the more I talk to folks in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s, the more I realize that confidence isn't about having all the answers or pretending nothing phases you. It's about knowing yourself well enough to admit when you're scared, when you're uncertain, but choosing to move forward anyway. That's the real power of this season of life. You've earned the right to live on your terms, unapologetically. One more shift I want to share, and it might just be the most important of them all, is protecting your peace. At this stage in life, you no longer owe anyone an explanation for choosing what makes you happy. That means letting go of toxic people, unnecessary obligations, and the old habit of saying yes when you really want to say no. Confidence grows when you honor your own needs without guilt. I once knew a lady named Preemie, 68 years young, who told me she used to drag herself to social gatherings every weekend, even though they exhausted her. She worried about offending people if she didn't show up. Then one day, she politely declined an invitation and spent that evening with a cup of tea, an old movie, and her cat on her lap. She said it was the most peaceful night she'd had in years. And you know what? Nobody disowned her. The world kept spinning, and she realized, maybe for the first time, that her happiness didn't depend on keeping everyone else happy. That's a lesson worth taking to heart. You're allowed to choose what and who you give your energy to. Confidence often lives in the quiet moments when you're alone with your thoughts and you realize you're good company. Now, if you've been listening to all this thinking, well, it's too late for me. Stop that right now. There's no expiration date on deciding to live better, feel stronger, and walk a little taller. I've seen people in their 90s pick up new hobbies, cut ties with negativity, start morning walks, and learn to laugh at themselves again. The moment you decide to take even one small step toward yourself, you're already on your way. And that's really what these smart lifestyle shifts are about. Not some grand transformation overnight, but tiny intentional choices that stack up. One better habit, one honest conversation, one morning where you get up, stretch, and greet yourself in the mirror like an old friend you're happy to see. That's confidence. It doesn't arrive with fanfare. It sneaks in quietly, growing stronger every time you honor yourself. So today, I want you to promise yourself something. Not to be perfect, not to never feel unsure again, but to stop writing yourself off, to stop assuming your best years have come and gone. Because let me tell you, Life after 60 can be absolutely extraordinary if you let it. You've got wisdom, stories, battle scars, and a resilience younger folks haven't even earned yet. That's your superpower. And as you move forward, I hope you'll hold your head a little higher, smile at your reflection, and remember that this world is still better with you in it. Not because of what you can do for others, not because of how many birthdays you've had, but because you are here, and that alone makes you valuable. Now, if this conversation spoke to you today, if it reminded you of something you've forgotten about yourself, or if it gave you that little nudge you didn't know you needed, I'd love for you to share your thoughts in the comments. Tell me one small thing you're going to do for yourself this week. Maybe it's wearing your favorite shirt for no reason. Maybe it's learning to send a WhatsApp sticker. Maybe it's finally sitting in your backyard with a cup of tea and no phone in sight. Whatever it is, I want to hear about it. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It tells YouTube that this kind of content matters, and it helps me reach more wonderful people like you. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, because there's a lot more where this came from. Stories, advice, and conversations just like this one created with you in mind. So here's to you, my friend, to the brave, beautiful soul that you are, and to the life you still have left to savor. May every sunrise remind you that there's more ahead, more reasons to smile, and more moments worth claiming. Confidence isn't something you find, it's something you build, one beautiful, ordinary day at a time. Until next time, take care of yourself. You've earned it. Don't forget to subscribe to keep the circle growing.